Hello, good evening to you and welcome to News 360. It's coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adisawe Kanda. I'm Natalie Fort.
And my name is Alfred Okansi. Coming up in the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray,
Premier Health Insurance.
Attorney General levels 29 charges against former Director General of Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT, Ernest Thompson, and 4 others.
Customers of Shiashi branch of Midland Savings and Loans besiege company's premises to withdraw their savings.
Also ahead this evening, at Sumdre Park, the resting place of former President John Evans Atta Mills desecrated.
And in business tonight, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana warns continuous reduction in policy rates translated into cheaper access to credit.
On the foreign front this evening, at least 70 people have died in wildfires in the Attica region around Athens in Greece's worst fire disaster in more than a decade.
Bring you details of this plus sport and entertainment tonight here on News 360. We're also live on DSTV channel 279 all across the world, on TV3 Ghana, on Facebook. Now to our first story this evening, the Attorney General has leveled 29 charges against former Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT, Ernest Thompson, and 4 others over the $72 million operating business suite, that's OBS contract, awarded to Perfect Business Solutions. The High Court granted all 5 accused persons self-recognizance bail after pleading not guilty to all charges.
The 4 others are former head of IT department Caleb Kweku Afaglo, former OBS project manager John Hagen Mensah, and Juliet Hassana Kramer of IT company Perfect Business Systems, as well as Peter Haibor, the former general counsel of SSNIT. The charges include conspiracy to willfully cause financial loss to the state, willfully causing financial loss to the state, defrauding by false pretense, contravention of Public Procurement Act, possession of forged document, authoring forged document, among others. In court on Tuesday, when the 29 counts were read to the 5 accused persons, they all pleaded not guilty. The former head of IT department, Caleb Afaglo, who was appointed in 2015, is alleged not to hold the right qualifications, hence charged with possession of forged document and authoring forged document. He was earlier indicted by the management of the trust over suspicions that his bachelor's, master's and doctorate degrees were fake. The initial cost of the operating business suite OBS software procured to automate processes at SSNIT was $34 million when it was awarded to Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium in 2012. But this later shot up to $72 million. Attorney General Gloria Ekufu told the court these individuals played several roles leading to a financial loss to the state. Gloria Ekufu spoke to the media after proceedings.
They have been arraigned for causing these losses, and that would include conspiracy, several heads of causing financial loss to the state. That will include offenses contrary to the Procurement Act. And for the 4th accused person, he also gained admission at SSNIT based on qualifications and certificates in his possession which he didn't really possess.
The case has been adjourned to October 17, thus after the 2017-2018 legal break.
Now let's stay on this issue a little further and take a look at the charges. That's 29 charges leveled against the former SSNIT boss and 4 others by the Attorney General. Now, willfully causing financial loss to the state, that's one of the charges leveled against them, as well as conspiracy to willfully cause financial loss, defrauding by false pretense, contravention of Public Procurement Act and possession of forged documents by the SNIT boss and these 4 other persons, and authorizing forged documents. Now, these 4 other persons, as is indicated here, actually includes Ernest Thompson. He's a former Director General of SNIT. Caleb Kweku Afaglo, the former head of the IT department of SNIT. John Hagen Mensah, the former OBS project manager. Peter Haibo, former General Counsel of SNIT, and Juliet Kramer, Perfect Business Systems. Now, these are the charges that have been leveled against them, though they deny it. These are the charges, and it's going to obviously take effect, as said by the Attorney General. Alfred?
Thank you. Natalie, we're still staying on this and subsequently bring you a lot more detail. But scores of customers of the embattled Midland Savings and Loans Limited besieged the company premises to withdraw their savings the first day the company opened its banking halls for business after a video of a policeman abusing a customer of the company emerged on social media. The customers affirm they are withdrawing to sympathize with a woman brutalized by the jailed police officer.
Some of the customers pitched camp at the Shashi branch of the company by 7 a.m. to withdraw their savings, although the company opens at 8:30 a.m. for normal business. At about 3:20 Tuesday afternoon, when the news team visited the premises, the number of customers who came to withdraw their monies had dwindled, but the few left spoke with the news team.
The people that have been coming for our money, they've stopped. I don't know where they will come and start again, so I need to withdraw all the money until they have started working.
Savings and losing and Moame. I just me save us watching into Afedi Abba. Minyama say me is can a network on Mukawasama, or be a baby is can tell me baby immediate. Because you need the best. If you answer down, Madame Biba Omoburo Nai.
However, some were not served because the financial institution has still not resolved its network problem. They have since been asked to come on Wednesday, July 25. Those who were fortunate to have been served could not access the amount they requested.
They said they are having a network challenging, so they can't give us all the money. And that Thursday, they give me 500 cedis, and they told me I should go and come. And I said, oh, my money is there, more than the 2,000 that I wrote. So it's not that I'm withdrawing all my money. So they should just give me, I'm going to use the money to do something. And they told me I should go and come. The next day I came, they didn't give me that money. Till today that I'm here, they only give me 500 cedis out of 1,005.
Gloria Ewuku came to the banking hall to close her account, but later had to rescind her decision.
Before you get to the table, they will advise you, they will cancel you if you want to withdraw all your money. So that has cooled me down.
A management member of Midland Savings and Loans, Albert Nyakun, who spoke to the news team off camera, said the activities of the institution have been affected both locally and internationally, as most clients have expressed preparedness to close their accounts. He said the bank on Tuesday did not record any deposit, but requests to withdraw, eventually crippling the activities.
We'll certainly stay on that issue and bring you some more on it in subsequent bulletins. But in some other news this evening, the Accra Regional Police Command has cautioned personnel against acts that bring the name of the service into disrepute. The Regional Commander, DCOP George Alex Mensah, insists acts that contravene the service instruction will not be condoned. Meanwhile, Peter Kwao Adato reports the bank officials upon whose directive Lance Corporal Goji Frederick Emmanuel assaulted a woman, recorded in a video that caused him the trouble.
The Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960, Act 30, Act 653 enjoins a police officer to use force only when necessary in the execution of legitimate duties. They shall only use force that is reasonable, necessary and proportional to the resistance level of the offender. The use of force under the tenets of the laws is only permitted in self-defense and others against imminent threat of death or serious injury. The use of force is again permissible only in a bid to prevent the commission of a serious crime and against a person who resists arrest, fight, escapes or endeavors to escape from lawful custody. The recent assault at the Midland Savings and Loans Limited by Lance Corporal Doji Frederick Amano is a clear violation. The Accra Regional Commander DCOP George Alex Mensah, whilst condemning the act, entreated officers not to be demoralized by the single act.
Because we don't want to see upsurge of crime anymore in Accra. And I saw this move as a very important one, just to let the men know their duty to the public, their attitude, the rules of engagement, and how they should move further.
DCOP George Alex Mensah again reminded the officers to be mindful of their code of ethics.
President, they are out there to protect the citizens, but not to brutalize the citizens. Those who fall foul, the law will take its course. Disciplinary measures will be taken against them, and appropriate sanctions will be awarded.
Meanwhile, it has emerged that the bank officials whose instruction led to the police brutality recorded the video and shared same.
The one who took the video is the same person who was instructed. And I tell you, it has really shown the animalistic part of us. So we should be very mindful and careful.
DCOP George Alex Mensah noted security remains a shared responsibility and called for public cooperation.
A brother of the late President Atta Mills, Samuel Atta Mills, has expressed regret over the resting place of the former president, which he says is in disarray. He was sad no government official was available at the Asomdwe Park to even say a word of prayer to commemorate the 6 years of the demise of the late president.
It was maybe about 3 or 4 weeks to his anniversary. That was when they took some people out there to clean it up. But most of the time throughout the year, the place is neglected. And is this a country worth dying for? Somebody who was a head of state? You go and bury him out there, and then you leave the place like that? I don't know.
Samuel Atta Mills, who is also the MP for Commander Edina Egwafu Ebrim, said it is not worth dying for the country considering the way his brother's resting place has been desecrated.
When it comes to moving the body or not, I don't think that will be a decision on my own, but I will leave it to the powers that be, and we will see what happens. Look, a head of state, apart from being the head of state, he was a professor. He had worked tirelessly for this country. The least we could do is to have somebody maintaining the place where he's buried. That is the least we could do. The family cannot go and take over that place because it's owned by the government, and I think Parks and Gardens is the one that is supposed to be in charge of it. So at least let's make sure we maintain that place.
MPs on the floor also commented on the need to put the Asomdwe Park into good shape.
I had the privilege of visiting the museum that had been built in the United States in memory of J.F. Kennedy. And Mr. Speaker, you'll be taken aback. Even the pen he wrote with, it's in there as a way of promoting tourism and also instilling in our children the history of the United States. I believe we should do same.
The Asomdwe Park, we should keep it well. Anybody driving through Virginia in the United States, Arlington Park, the American system, you would know. Mr. Speaker, let me add this. I recall that when the late Alhaji Aliu Mahama passed on, and we were again in a dilemma how to see him off, one of the major decisions of the family was to see him buried at Asomdwe Park until the family insisted that they wanted Muslim values and customs respected.
Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress is calling for the proper management of the final resting place of the late President, John Evans Atta Mills, the Asomdwe Park. General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, says the NDC's failure to put in place a proper management system before leaving power should not leave the facility unattended to.
On July 24, 2012, Ghana lost its sitting president, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. A place was prepared as his final resting place, Asomdwe Park, couched out of his pension for peace. 6 years on, the site to be preserved as a monument in the country's history is desecrated. These pictures remind us so much of some of the scenes during the funeral, which attracted a lot of dignitaries in and outside Ghana. And if you came here some few years back, then of course you bear witness with me that this entire stretch was covered with pictures that told us a lot more about the funeral. But as you can see, the pictures have fallen and no one knows the fate of the remaining pictures. It is not clear when these pictures fell off, but from all indications, it is clear they have been left unattended to for a long period. Our attention was drawn to this electrical box, which we are told supplies electricity for the entire facility. With naked cables, it poses danger to visitors. These metal boxes, we are told, are part of the creations here, but as it stands now, they no longer add any value to the park. Some have collapsed and others rusty. According to the original plan, these uncompleted buildings next to the park are supposed to serve as a library for tourists, but squatters have taken over. Like it's done every year, leadership of the opposition National Democratic Congress, the party under which the late president served, visited the park and expressed their disappointment about the poor management of the park.
We ought to take a decision and find some management to handle this place the same way as the Nkrumah Memorial Park has its management. Immediately after the place was constructed and after the burial of the old professor, the national security took over, and I remember the national security was managing it. I'm not sure any proper structures were put in place for sustainable management. And so when Bavlo Latte left the scene, I'm sure that was where the problems began. Nana Akufo-Addo came to power just less than 2 years ago. And if they inherited a management structure, I don't think they would have abolished it. So it boils down to, the rush with which we put the place together and the fact that we couldn't put in place a management structure to handle it after the barrier.
He is of the view the park should be well packaged as a monumental site to attract people in and outside Ghana, an avenue the country can use to generate revenue. Kwabna Edu Jemfi, TV3.
On this day, the spotlight is also on the Atta Mills Library in somewhere in the central region, where it's under lock and key because the contractor says he's been owed some monies as we speak. Now, former presidential spokesperson Koko Anyino has bemoaned the poor state of the Asomdwe Park burial place of former President Professor John Evans Atta Mills. The NDC Deputy General Secretary noted the facility could generate revenue if maintained.
Professor Mills passed away on July 24, 2012. A presidential mausoleum named Asomdwe Park, where the late president was buried, is in disarray and not secured. A former presidential spokesperson and Deputy General Secretary of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Koko Anyino, expressed dismay over the poor state of the facility.
To get it sorted out. And like I'm saying that, I hope that out of the rubbles and the ruins of the Sith, the seventh, and those who believe in numerology, we say 7 is a number of perfection.
Perfection,
so,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope that on the 7th in the 7th year of his passing on, we should not be witnessing the kind of rubble and ruin that we are seeing there now.
He debunked assertions that the former president was weak, describing him rather as a meticulous person.
One of his favorite lines, Koku, anybody who thinks I'm a fool is a bigger fool. Because of his very tolerant nature and his good-heartedness,
This is 3FM.
people would then take it for granted that, oh, no, don't take that Asunje thing to mean that he was not on top of everything.
The late Professor Mills died at the 37 Military Hospital after a short illness.
You're watching News 360. Up next is our MTN Video Report.
This is the chip compound in Saniaso in the Offensive North constituency. This project was built by the former administration NDC in 2016. It's left with some few touches to be operational. The question is, what is the current administration doing about this project? I'm Samuel Owusu-Kojo-Aduchim, reporting from Saniaso, number 1 in Offensive North constituency.
Remember that, like Samuel, you can also send your visual report via WhatsApp number. It's 055-1433-044. That's 055-1433-044.
You're still watching News 360. Good evening and thanks for staying with us. Time for business. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. And beginning with tonight, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit, says the private sector has not benefited from the continuous reduction in the policy rates by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana. Now, he says until the reduction reflects in cheaper access to credit, it will be meaningless to the private sector. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana announced that it will maintain the policy rate at 17%.
Given the circumstances, especially with regards to the global outlook, the committee decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 17%.
But speaking to TV3 Business, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit, says the business community has not benefited from the continuous reduction in the policy rate.
At the 3.5 that the government, the New Patriotic Party took over from.
You mean the policy
What
rate?
was, yes, what was the interbank, what was the interbank commercial bank's interest rate? Since then, I've said that they've done well in terms of monetary prime rate, they brought it down, but it does not reflect in the commercial bank rate.
Head of capital markets at investments firm First Bank, Winslow Sakifio, said the key rationale for the seeming inability of commercial banks to lower their lending rate in tandem with the policy rate had its roots in the high levels of non-performing loans and high credit risk.
When the policy rate goes down, we expect interest rates on the market to also trend downwards. But for some time now, I think after 2012, 2013, that link wasn't that strong. So policy rate goes down, it doesn't really affect prevailing interest rates on the market. And we are in a regime where the banks are facing a lot of issues. There's non-performing loans, there's the risk of a lot of defaults, and they have to price that into their current loans. And that is why we are seeing a situation where the policy rate has been trending down for some time, but banks have not been able to beat their rates down.
The Bank of Ghana has reduced the policy rate by 850 basis points over the last 15 months. The figure has dropped from 25.5% to 17% currently. And still talking about the policy rate is the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana, and they're saying that government should balance its fiscal and monetary policies in a way that will help strengthen the economic fundamentals. Now, the institute underscored the need for both full employment and price stability instead of one at the expense of the other.
The CEO of the institute, Gideon Emisa, was reacting to the mid-year budget review and the monetary policy rate, which has been maintained at 17% by the central bank. He noted, due to limited fiscal space, the finance minister had no option than to put in measures to raise revenue to finance government projects. The Institute of Chartered Economists, Ghana, indicated the introduction of the new tax regime is not expected to impact on inflation significantly.
In as much as we're trying to raise more revenue, we also have to look at the other side of the coin, which is expenditure, so that we may have to find a way to, block some loopholes in our expenditure system. I think government is on the right path with the removal of the ghost names from some of these public institutions.
Gideon Emisa argued the flat rates tax introduced by the finance minister may lead to tax evasion.
We can get some, software as point of sales software that cut across, that is universal, that can be used by every registered business owner, so that GRA can monitor some of these transactions that happens in our tax regime.
On the Bank of Ghana maintaining the monetary policy at 17%, he expressed the need for government to effectively and efficiently combine fiscal and monetary policies.
Whilst we are having, that restrictive fiscal regime coming from the Ministry of Finance, we also expect to get some expansionary monetary sector from the Bank of Ghana. And when we are able to do this policy coordination, then we don't sacrifice, the pursuit of curtailing inflation at the expense of growth in the economy.
Okay, so let's move away from the policy rates now. The National Petroleum Authority, the NPA, has suspended 8 oil companies for tax evasion. Now, the NPA said in a statement that these companies were involved in activities that led to the loss of a tax revenue to the government of Ghana, and the suspension ranges between 1 and 3 months depending on the extent of the company's offense. And, the companies spare the suspensions are to desist from engaging in the sale, supply, transportation, discharge and receipt of petroleum products for the duration of their suspension, the statement added. So right here are the number of companies there. It has 2 categories. Category 1, where the companies were given 1 month suspension, and the category 2, where they were given a 3-month suspension. So we have Union Oil Ghana Limited here, Agapet Limited, Excel Oil Company, Mycel Energy Company Limited, as well as Globex Energy Company Limited. And for the category 2 of the suspended companies, we have Petro Afrique Company Limited, Live Petroleum Company Limited, as well as Unique Company Limited. So the first category will be on suspension for 1 month, and the second would be on suspension for the 3-month period. And joining us on the phone lines now to look into the matter is Senor Hosi, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Senor, good evening and good to have you.
Good evening, Anika.
Right, now...
A pleasure. And good evening to your viewers.
Right. Senor, first of all, can you confirm if you have your companies here on the list of suspended companies by the NPA?
Not by that, I believe you don't mean my personal companies. I don't have any of my personal...
No, I mean for the OMCs, under the BBCs.
Yeah, Mycel and Globex have been mentioned in that press release. But I need to categorically state that it is not the case that Globex and Mycel have been sanctioned for tax evasion. Not at all. The NPA has sanctioned them for misreporting, and particularly, let me use the NPA's words, under declaring the volumes that they sold. Taxes are not paid by BDCs. Taxes are paid by OMCs and collected for and on behalf of the state by oil marketing companies, not bulk distribution companies. But any information that's sent to the NPA that is misreported, understated, overstated, can attract some. And these companies have attracted those sanctions. The issue of tax evasion is something that's very dear to my heart and also dear to the Chamber's entire advocacy plan. So we are very happy to have government interventions to address them. But we need to be very clear and fair in the communication as far as this process is concerned. It's not to say whether Mr. A or B, when investigated, will be found to be culpable or not, but to say clearly that at this stage, it is not the case that any of these BDCs, particularly MISIL and Globex, have been sanctioned for tax evasion. Not at all. That is.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarity there. I'm sure that is all time will permit us. We are grateful for your time, Senor Jose, the CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, giving us clarity on the number of companies that belongs to the BDC as a group. Well, these two, the names that he mentioned, were obviously not part of the tax evasion as explained by them. I'm sure the GI will be giving us more answers to this. But that wraps it up for the business segment tonight. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brampa, and Alfred is standing by with more. Good evening.
Okay, thank you for business. Now, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Koko Anyudo, is saying that President Akufo-Addo has set a bad precedent with the appointment of Jane Mensah as chairman of the Electoral Commission, on the nomination of Jane Mensah as the chairman of the Electoral Commission. Speaking on 3FM Sunrise, the former presidential staffer insisted the new EC boss is politically tainted, pointing to a possible replacement should the MDC win power.
The president's nomination of Jane Adukwe Mensah as the new chairperson of the Electoral Commission has sparked a debate among the populace. Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Koko Anyudo, opposes the president's nomination. Koko Anyudo asserted Jane Mensah is politically tainted, pointing to a possible replacement of the new EC chair should the NDC win power.
We are dead against the immoral manner in which the appointment is taking place. That's our issue. And that going forward, will it be wrong for other political parties to also toe the line of Akufo-Addo? So NDC comes in 2021, which will happen anyway by the grace of God. So then we go and get two drivers to petition against Jane Mensah. Then one moment Jane Mensah is out. Is that the kind of EC we want to have?
Is that something you want to do?
That's a question you and I should be asking.
And I'm asking,
that's a debate.
Is that something you would want to do?
It's a debate, and that's what we are bringing up to the fore.
Yeah, but now that we've brought it to the fore, is that something you would want to do?
And I'm saying that is where we must ask that's the question we're asking. That Nana Akufo-Addo, this bad precedent that you are setting, is it good for our democratic process?
He, however, did not doubt the competence of the new EC chair.
So it's not about competence. Nobody can question the competence of Charlotte. And neither is anybody question the competence of Jean or Bosman Spy. Bosman Spy is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana. He's not head of political science.
Yes.
Is anybody going to question his PhD? No.
So you're not questioning the competence of Jane
that's not the issue. No. The issue is about the modus operandi, the style.
The NDC revealed it's planning to engage in street protests in the coming weeks.
Meanwhile, two major unions have implored the newly appointed EC boss, Jane Mensah, to exhibit objectivity and wisdom in the discharge of her duties. The University Teachers of Ghana, UTAG, and the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, noted her appointment is a boost to Ghana's democratic credentials.
UTAG praised the president for appointing Jane Mensah as a new Electoral Commission boss. The association noted allegations leveled against the former Electoral Commissioner, Charlotte Osei, were a dent on the country's democratic image. It charged the newly appointed EC, Jane Mensah, to exhibit wisdom and humility in the discharge of her duties.
We left University of Ghana the same year. She belongs to our 1993 group, and so we are proud of her. I will appeal to her, and I believe she will, to live above board, so that she can carry the whole country along with her. Indeed, she's going to face a number of problems, but she needs wisdom to be able to sail through.
The largest opposition party, NDC, has accused her of being aligned and sympathetic to the MPP government. But UTAG has pleaded with the political parties to desist from such accusations.
It shouldn't be. I think that we must grow as a country to understand that this country belongs to all of us. It doesn't matter the party you belong to. We all belong to families, we belong to tribes, we belong to religious groupings and all that. But I think what must define us first is our nationality.
The General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union (ICU) encouraged the new EC boss to be objective in her work.
We will see more objectivity, in this particular new office that she's occupying, because in this particular office, it will not be sing this man praise and go against this man. Do it in such a way that whoever criticizes you will come to a point and say, well, it's well done.
He asked her to be prompt in rolling out strategies in the upcoming district assembly elections and also warned against political bias.
We will wish that the politicians will give the president a break. He has got the right by the law to make a choice. He's made a choice. If it is fair, we will see. If it's wrong, we will see. If they have specifics to prove that she is not worthy, an ambassador to stay in that office, they should prove those ones and leave these social commentaries.
The new EC boss is to be vetted by the Council of State before she begins work.
President Akufo-Addo climaxed his tour of the northern region with the commissioning of the refurbished Motor King assembling plant in Tamale, with a call on the private sector to invest in the country's manufacturing sector.
President Akufo-Addo first commissioned the refurbished Motor King assembly plant and reiterated government commitment at supporting investment.
There are investments that will impact the transformation of our economy, and that is the major objective of economic policy in our time, that we begin to transform the Ghanaian economy from being a raw material in producing it and exporting economy to an industrial, agro-industrial economy that will be able to generate jobs and create higher incomes for our people.
At Bipe, President Akufo-Addo cut sword for the construction of an 80-bed district hospital which will specialize in accident and emergency care. The facility, to be completed in 36 months, will provide access to health care for the people of Central Gonja and its environs, as well as to commuters along the Trans-African Highway in the event of accidents and emergencies. At the palace of the overlord of Gonja land, the Yagbangura, Tuntumba Borisa I, President Akufo-Addo urged the chiefs and people to promote peace in Dagbang.
We have been seeking your help to bring peace also to Dagbang. One of the three eminent chiefs, together with the Nairi and the Asantehene, who are trying to broker an understanding between the conflicting parties in Dagbang. That exercise has still not come to an end. And my plea to you is that you will do everything possible to accelerate that process so that even before the Savannah region becomes a reality, you will leave that as your legacy for the northern region. Peace in Dagbang, in our time, in your time.
The president added that the one village, one dam policy is being implemented in the three regions of the north to ensure all year-round farming. This, he said, has resulted in the ongoing construction of 570 dams in the three regions.
You're watching News 360 all across the world. You're watching us on 3news.com. We've got the latest of news from the world of sports coming up shortly. Stay with us.
Tonight on Entertainment News, we focus on high life artist Kwame Zagi. In real life, he's known as Nana Kwame Ampa, and he's expressed his displeasure over the manner in which young artists bestow on themselves titles, presupposing they are better off than the pioneers of the industry.
He started his musical career as a member in Mensen band at Dansuman, after which he started recording his own songs. In 2010, he was signed on to Paradigm Entertainment, where he released his first album, Nyankontong. A year later, his album was nominated on Foresight Music Video Awards. Currently, he is the reigning Best Male Vocalist at the Central Music Awards. As a high life artist, Kwame has performed on many platforms and staged with most of the prominent musicians like Ochame Kwame, Jeduble Ambuli, Papa Yankson and others. His current song, Toto Fefe, has sparked a lot of controversy as some artists like Kumi Guitar believes is directed at them.
The Toto Fefe song is not going to anybody. I didn't direct it to anybody, but I made mention the names that people are calling themselves. So I picked from what they are saying.
In an interview with Justice Mensah, Just the Two of Us hitmaker expressed his displeasure on the self-acclaimed titles circulating in the industry.
I wasn't really happy about the young folks calling themselves kings and names and gods and all that, whilst we have the likes of the A.B. Kentils, the Kodrenchis, the Rexomars, the Amanzibes and the likes who toil so much to bring high life music to existence. He calls himself High Life Martin Luther King, but we have people like Nanam Pedu that are great, that has a lot of albums, that has done so much for high life music. I feel like we are disrespecting them while they are alive.
He called on stakeholders in the industry to rather encourage young artists to work hard as the high life genre is declining.
High life music is sinking. That's what everybody's saying. So we must encourage the young ones that are coming to work so hard. We shouldn't encourage that this is the king, or this one is doing this one is doing that. This one is the high life king or high life god.
Well, that's about it for entertainment news tonight. You know there's more on 3news.com and Miriam Osei Ajuman. Crossing over to the birthday girl, Natalie Ford.
Thanks.
Do you think I was going to miss that?
I did, but thank you.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
My name is Alfredo Kanse. Thank you for watching.
I'm Natalie Ford. Visit our website. It's 3news.com for some more news. As always, news at 10 will simulcast on our sister station, 3FM 92.7. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely evening.